He was a house on fire, his body a home and his mind untamed, his heart a match, his brain the flames. I was 5 years old when I first felt his pain. Halloween night, it was all fun and games. I was happy until he unleashed his flames. I felt my lungs collapse as he yelled out my name. I shook at the horror as he played his little game. He broke all the windows and hid in the dark, left a knife on the floor that stabbed me in my heart. Juice as blood was splattered all over the floor. I was all alone, I couldn't take it anymore. I ran back outside and into the night. I grabbed onto my mother as we walked inside. It was like a horror movie, so I covered my eyes. Mom and Dad knew it was a joke, but I was only 5. They yelled at him, of course, but he didn't care. He had no conscience or feelings, all he did was stare. This was my childhood, all I felt was fear. I hated when he got sent away, but I hated when he was here. Because he saw me as a piece of paper, as I was already so weak. He was the pen that would write all over my fragile little body, so the words would never leave. Last time I talked to him was in early May. He said happy birthday and that he'd see me again someday. Of course that made me happy, like I was losing my mind. How could I love someone that made my heart decline? He made me feel numb from the age of 5. I was never the happiest kid, and I always wondered why. Turns out most people don't understand mental illness at the age of 5. I wouldn't sleep in my own room until the age of 9, because every night I was told that I was going to die. He would whisper in my ear so nobody could hear. My parents had no idea that he was my biggest fear. I didn't know how to ride a bike until the age of 10. Every time he got out of juvie, he'd just pop my tires again. The demons came at 11 and I thought I was losing my mind. Turned out he was the reason my voice was so hard to find. I was called fat, ugly, and a lazy-eyed freak. I was told no one would ever love me, and that made me weep. I couldn't yell back because I was afraid of those fists. He never physically hurt me, but I've heard all the things he did. Like when he was in 6th grade, he was invited to join a gang. Plan was to jump a kid and then he would get his street name. Mom picked up the other phone and heard the whole thing. Thank God she kept him home because the other kid got sent away. After that, he went to jail so many times. That was just one day that my mother saved his life. I remember the time the soldiers first came. They broke into our house like we were to blame. I was only 7 when he unleashed those flames, and from that day on, I knew things would never be the same. Because on that day, they called out his name, but of course he ran because it was all just a game. He just had to run from the soldier-like men. He knew they would catch him, it was just a matter of when. He came back home time after time. He was desperate for money to distract him from his crimes. I was there when he needed me, I helped him every time. I gave him everything, every dollar, every dime. And when I had little left, I would try to hide all of those 20s and 10s, but somehow he would find. My piggy banks he would raid when I was only 9. My games he would steal, and nothing I had was mine. He was a liar, a thief, and a fool. He would steal people's cars because he thought it was cool. He was always hanging out with the wrong crowds, even brought them home to places they weren't allowed. He would sell drugs beneath my feet. There were intoxicated girls in the place that I sleep. As we got older, his anger got worse. I would watch his kids as he would sit there and scream, tell me I was doing everything wrong, like I was to blame. Not my fault he couldn't raise his own kid. Second to last time he went away, he lost everything he had. All it took was one drug deal to go bad. His daughter was only 1, she had already lost her dad. Only got sent away for a year though, so it wasn't so bad. When he got out again, he tried to stay in chat. He got his girl pregnant again and seemed to get his life back. Shortly after, things changed and he stepped right back onto his path. Monsters came at age 16. At that time he was 23. He had 2 kids now and almost a wife. Too bad he decided to ruin his life. Everything happened in the middle of the night. Another drug deal gone bad and he was up for a fight. It's been 2 years now, the worst of my life. Thankfully, things are just starting to be alright. I remember the day that Ty went away. I was told things wouldn't be okay. Mom and Dad were sad and I was too. Mom couldn't handle it, but Dad was very blue. And when Dad was blue, I was too. He had lost his son and lost his mind. He had lost his temper, which made me cry. And my monsters seemed to want me to die. My brother's pen marks are like shards of glass, puncturing holes in my already wounded heart. All of his pain turned into cobwebs wrapping their way around my head. All of those thoughts stuck in my brain from the moment I wake up to when I went to bed. He was a house on fire, his body a home and his mind untamed, his heart a match, his brain the flames, a sociopathic monster filled with pain who never seemed to get tired of his childish ways. He was the fire and I was the rain. I was my tears and he was my pain.